Well, good evening, everybody. This is really an exciting time, and I trust that you were not too busy to join us this evening. I was meeting with one of my accountability partners this morning, Peter, and we were having a chat, and he was talking about wanting to have insights in terms of what the talk was all about. And I said to Peter, well, actually, I would also like to have some of those insights. And as I've been really considering some of the obstacles that face us on a day-to-day basis, this phrase, too busy, became very, very evident. In fact, I would say it's probably the number one reason that people actually miss out on opportunity in life. They're too busy doing something. And I'm going to share, hopefully, a few insights with you. And I'm sure the panel are going to have some great things to share with us after the session. So once I've completed my talk, we will be joined by a panel who will discuss and share some of their insights with you. And I'm looking forward to listening to what they have to share. And that's going to be hosted by Terence Ogle, our partner from Johannesburg, South Africa. So the title this evening, Too Busy. I don't know if you've ever used those words in your life before. And if you are the little saint who has never used those words, I'm sure that you've heard many other people declare that they are too busy. I remember when I was growing up that the adults will say things like, I'm busy right now. You know, we never knew what they were busy doing. I think perhaps they were busy breathing, but they were certainly too busy to pay attention to what our needs were in the moment. They used to say things like, I'm busy, can't you see I'm busy? And we used to always wonder, well, what are you actually busy with? Maybe they heard the phrase, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And of course, they wanted to be the person that people gave things to do. So they would declare that they were busy. But the real question is, what were they busy doing? You know, sometimes we busy on a phone call. We busy in a meeting. We busy doing the dishes. Well, maybe not. We busy cooking. We busy driving to work. In fact, most times we busy waiting. We busy waiting for the alarm clock to go off so we can get up in the morning and stand and wait for the kettle to boil. So we're busy waiting for the kettle to boil. We then make the cup of tea and we're busy waiting for the tea to brew. And then we're busy waiting for the toast to be ready. Then finally, we're busy at the traffic light waiting for it to turn green. We arrive at the office in the morning and we're busy waiting for the clock to strike 8 so we can start working. Then we're busy waiting for tea time, busy waiting for lunch, busy waiting for the end of the day so we can go home and sit in front of the television, busy waiting for our favorite program. And then finally, before the weather is given at the end of the news, if they still do that today, we nod off to sleep just at the critical moment that we've been busy waiting for the entire day. Of course, then we head off to bed and we lie in bed and we're busy waiting to fall asleep, only to repeat the process in the new day. If I looked at the word B for busy, I think that people use the word busy to just blame something or someone for their inavailability. Do you know that when you are engaged with your purpose, you never have to tell anyone you're busy because they can see that you are engaged? If I am busy on a phone call, I don't have to tell somebody I'm busy on a phone call. They can see I'm on a phone call. In fact, I don't have to say I'm busy on a phone call. I can just say I'm on a phone call. I am cooking supper. I'm working in the garden. I don't need to declare the word busy before any of those things. I think you're either the bull or you full of bull when you declare that you are too busy. And sadly, the latter part might be the truth. Because there are times when I've used the word or the words I am too busy just because I was actually too lazy and I didn't want to state the truth. So is busyness something to blame? Is it perhaps keeping you from engaging in the things that are important? I think of the fact that we're doing our 23rd talk this evening, 23 weeks in a row. And the question is, how many people have been too busy to participate? I looked at the letter U, and you know, the kind of things that I thought about is that maybe people are so busy under the circumstances that they're operating in the rain and the fog and the clouds and all of the negativity that surrounds them, that they haven't risen above the circumstances to see the fact that the sun is shining and the future looks bright. But as I was thinking about that particular idea of being under the circumstances, there was an interesting word that popped into my mind. And that was the word usurp. And being the English buff that I am, I had to go and look that up and see, what does this word actually mean? I've heard it before. And it talks about the word commandeer, the word to take, to seize. And I'm just wondering whether we are not busy doing something where someone else has usurped our dream and our vision. And we are so engaged working for their approval and their acceptance that we have missed our own assignment. So what is it that you are underway with in your life? What is unraveling if we look into the future based on the things that are keeping you busy? What unlimited potential have you unlocked with the things that you are engaged in right now? Or could we declare that all that you have done today is breathe your piece or your bit of oxygen and exhaled sufficient for the tree to grow? Has someone perhaps, or has something perhaps, usurped your vision, stolen your birthright? Let's think about that. And then, of course, I thought about Heather, and I was thinking about S for psychology. And I see Amelia has recognized. You know, I would have been right there when the teacher said S for psychology. I would have been number one to say yes. But of course, when I think about psychology, I think about the words that Peter and I spoke about this morning, and we've spoken about many times, and that is these two words of success versus significance. I think many people are very busy striving to be successful. They're striving for status. They're striving to be someone when in fact they are already a unique masterpiece that's never before been created. But they've set that aside to strive for something else. You know, success is inside the circle. Significance is beyond. Success is limited. Significance is unlimited. Success can be measured. Significance cannot be measured. So What have you been busy with today? What have you been busy with this week? If you have been truly busy in your purpose, there's no need to declare it, because people will see that you are on the scene and you have shown up and you are doing what you were born to do. We cannot finish this talk without bringing up the letter Y. And the letter Y simply is a question for me and for you tonight. And that is, what are you saying yes to? Because the things that you are busy with are the things that you have said yes to. Are you saying yes to the things of purpose? Are you saying yes to the vision that has been placed in your heart? Or are you saying yes to someone else's vision? Miles Monroe says this. He says, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. I was also reminded that life without purpose is death. So if we are saying yes to something that is not aligned with our purpose, we are in fact saying no to life. We are saying no to the thing that ignites us inside. I hope that sharing these thoughts with you in this short time that we have together is going to inspire you to eradicate or to remove the word busy from your vocabulary. And I want to simply state the facts. And when I say I am working on or I am engaged in, I don't need to preface that with the word busy. If I use the word busy, in most cases, I'm not. What's interesting is that a lot of people connect with me from time to time, and very often they will begin their engagement with me by saying, I know that you are a busy person. I want to tell you that is an incorrect assumption when it comes to their interpretation of busyness. They think because I'm on purpose, I am so overloaded with things to do that it's not possible for me to listen here or attend to their email or request. But it's also the evidence of something that they use always to excuse their lack of engagement in life. So tonight, remember that purpose is life. And if we fail to say yes to purpose, if we fail to connect with passion, any form of busyness leads simply to death. And the only thing that we are really doing is being busy breathing or busy with those heartbeats. I'm asking myself, in fact, I'm saying to myself, Glenn, the time of using I am too busy is over. I'm going to be fully and completely engaged in that which I'm called to do. I've enjoyed sharing with you this evening. I'm going to go and listen to this recording because I know there are things that I need to hear, and I trust that you also have found value in this evening. I'm going to be handing over to Terence and his panel in just a few seconds.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. What an inspirational talk by Glenn McQuirk on being too busy. My name is Terence Ogle. I'm a partner and a Map for Life coach and trainer. Tonight, I'll be playing host to a panel, and I'm really looking forward to the discussions with the panel on this topic of being too busy. We were really left with quite a few nuggets that we can ponder on and see how guilty we are of not only using the term too busy, but being in a constant state of just being too busy. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll introduce the panel to you and we can get started. Okay, there we go. So on the panel, we have Peter, Heather, and Romeo. Welcome, panel. Great to have you. And we have tonight a truly international panel. So what I'd like to do is to ask you to introduce yourselves, starting with Peter, and then we'll go to Heather, and then Romeo, and just say who you are and where you're from. I just want to emphasize the international um, flavor of this particular talk. Okay, Peter, over to you. You're muted, Peter. Okay, Peter, go ahead.
Okay, I'm from Johannesburg, and I got involved with Map for Life before Map for Life started. I was given this book as a Christmas present, Christmas in 1999, and it was entitled My History in the Making. And this book changed my life. And as a result, ever since Christmas 1999, I have been involved in Map for Life. I run the Santon Map Cafe, and I've traveled the world talking about Map for Life and what it can do for people.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you very much. Right. Who's going to go next? Romeo?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay, Heather. Heather. Thanks, Romeo.
Hi, I'm Heather King. I'm from the United Kingdom. I'm from the southeast of the United Kingdom. Map for Life was introduced to me when Glenn started early on by my brother. But I tell you what, I've been so excited by it because I'm really into personal development. But Map for Life has turned my to-do list into a today list. So I'm all for it.
Excellent. Thanks, Heather. Thank you. Romeo.
Thank you. And nice meeting you. I always follow Peter on Facebook with the Santon Mapa Cafe. He's so committed, and I want to really pay tribute to Peter because his inspiration is touching me always. So
thank you, Romeo. It's so wonderful to meet you at last.
Oh, thank you. I am from Cameroon, from Africa. And in 2004, I was really looking for some tool to be more performant. And I went to a bookshop in Eastgate, Johannesburg, because I used to travel from Cameroon to South Africa to do my business. But something is terrible because previously somebody told me that people of my ascendant, Africans, don't like to read. And that if you want to hide something to somebody like me, just put it in a book. So I was in the East Gate with somebody from Angola, from Africa. And I asked him, but before we go to the restaurant, let us go into the exclusive books. That's a bookshop. And this guy said, my friend, you meet me at the restaurant. That confirmed. And I was very amazed. I said, but wow, this is happening in front of me, that they told me this reaction. And I said, nevertheless, let me go to the bookshop. And I went there. The only book I bought that day was Map for Life. And 2004, my journey with Map for Life is incredible. The Glenn, I think it was the departing point of everything I did today.
Excellent. Well, welcome, Romeo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good to have you on the panel, and it's good that you and Peter eventually meet. Not quite in the flesh, but good enough on the screen. Okay. Let's get to this whole topic of busyness. And I know the panel today are very honest. They're going to talk their hearts out. So I want to ask the question. Just think back to your own day. Were there any moments in the past day that you felt were just busy moments? Can we explore that in our own lives? Was there a time when you felt it was just busy? You don't have to go into detail, but let's just discuss in your own day. Did you have moments today, or maybe yesterday, or in the week even, that you felt on reflection were actually busy moments? Let's just discuss.
I wrote down, as Glenn was talking about too busy, and I wrote down that I regard too busy as being a life sentence. And some months ago, I woke up to this fact. And I find myself, there are times when I say, I feel that I'm too busy. And I say, no, but that's a cop-out. I live my life by design, not by default. And I regard to say that I'm too busy, it means that I've moved into that default stage. And I've got to move back to being in control and living by design.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks. So what I'm hearing you say is that busyness is actually a mindset.
It's a mindset.
Right? So whatever you do, as long as it's aligned to your purpose, is not considered, or you don't consider as busyness. That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Heather, let's just please come in.
You know, it's strange that you talk about that, because there have been days in my life where I've been so busy, and at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure what it was I was actually doing.
Okay.
I can't see what I've been busy doing, but I've been active the whole time. And I think for me, this happens to me when I don't plan my day, when I don't set my goals down. Because, you know, it just brings to mind that quote by Robert Heinlein: in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until we become enslaved by it. So you can wander around doing a whole lot of things, but actually not doing anything that brings you closer to your purpose. And that's happened to me quite often in the past year.
Thanks, Heather. That brings to mind a picture in my own mind of a hamster exerting a lot of energy but going nowhere. You know, the other thing that comes to mind, Heather, from what you've said, is the gem for this week is about focus. You know, if we don't focus, then we're going to lapse into a so-called busy state. But thank you very much for that, Romeo.
Yes. Yeah. I will have another experience. I don't know why it happens to me, because I have young children, and sometimes there are distractions. You see, sometimes even when I have a plan, sometimes I am hit by some unplanned activities and some unwanted issues that I must solve if I want to go back to my normal process, you see. And listening to the talk today, I feel a little bit guilty, if I may put it like that, that maybe I'm not using my life to the full, because it happens that they call you from school. You need to come because your son is doing this. Sometimes they are taking him to the hospital. Sometimes there is a close down. You have to see, when you are a father of little children, sometimes you are so. But I believe that if not of Map for Life, that at least I had planned what to do before I got unplanned, unwanted things that came up. But at least I have a plan, and maybe someone else will go faster than me. But maybe because of my distractions, I will come later. But I will still follow my plan because I had a plan. You see, but I don't know, because what is the frontier? What is the boundary between being just busy and out of purpose, and following your purpose? You know, because sometimes your fatherhood activities, you cannot do without it. You see, and sometimes it's unpredicted and it comes at random. It disturbs you, distracts you, but it's like a plane flying, but you have wind outside.
Sure, turbulence.
Yes, and it's good to have a Map for Life, because Map for Life creates the habit of focusing on your goal, on your destination. But I want to be sincere that now the route can be unpredicted. Sometimes you can have some distractions.
Thanks, Romeo. Thank you. Yeah, I think the panel will agree with the fact that life happens, and there will be distractions. And thank goodness we have a tool like Map for Life that can bring us back on track. I love your analogy of turbulence. That's which pilot says I'm going to know exactly what turbulence I'm going to fly into. They probably know more or less given the weather thing. But when they hit with the turbulence, things change and they've got to adjust. Yeah. But if they didn't have a plan to get out of that turbulence, the plane would then probably crash, right? Love that one. What do the rest of the panel think about the distractions and how to manage distractions that Romeo has brought up? Peter, you want to go?
I think it all starts with our early morning rituals, and it may even start with our late night rituals. I tend to be a bit slack on my late night rituals, but it's my early morning rituals where I look back and I reflect on yesterday. And there are two crucial things for me for yesterday: is A, what am I grateful for? And B, what was my success of the day? And I think that if we focus on that, it just keeps us going for the day ahead. I was reading only this week that the most important question we should be asking every morning is what went wrong with yesterday? And then looking at what went wrong with yesterday, we set out how to prevent that same distraction, turbulence, from affecting today and making and taking that corrective action. It was actually a program which said that our success is measured by what the things we don't do as opposed to the things that we do, and it's getting rid of all of those distractions and obstacles that get in our way. It was just a little question of redefining my activities. But I like to
Thank you. Before I get to Heather, I just saw one of these comments coming, on the line here. It says, "A journey is not a straight line, right? A map gets you back on track, right? So no journey is ever a straight line." I think that's very good. Thanks for that comment. Yes, Heather.
Well, as you say, no journey is a straight line. But you know what? Sometimes we take detours when we don't have to, right? Sometimes the route is there, A to B, and we think, wait a minute, I'm just going to veer off here and go to C. Because sometimes, as you say, life happens, there are distractions, but you know what? Some of us get very good at using those distractions to take us off the road. I mean, when Romeo speaks of crisis with the children, that is understandable. But you know, there are times when you want to procrastinate, and so
Yep.
you wait for a distraction to come. You're practically willing a distraction into your life because you don't want to do something. So it's recognizing the distractions for what they actually are, and then how you deal with it, your attitude when you deal with the distraction.
Yeah.
Some of the distractions don't have to be dealt with there and then. By
Sure.
choosing to deal
Sure.
with something at that point, you are actually taking yourself off the plan. So you've got to ask yourself and set those boundaries. You know, is what I'm doing bringing me closer to my goal? If not, is it something that's urgent that I need to address right now? So it's all about you and your attitude and how you want to
Sure.
plan your journey.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Heather. And in fact, it comes back to what Peter said about reflection. Reflection is a good way of adjusting and saying, you know, yesterday I went off track. I took that detour I shouldn't have. And going forward, I'm going to be more alert and I'm going to be aware of those distractions. Yeah. All fits together. Let's get down to the acronym, BUSY. So the first one Glenn mentioned there was B for blame. But before we do that, I love the way Glenn has put the word engaged. So, you know, from now on, I'm never going to use the word busy, except obviously discussing now with the panel. But I think that it's so positive to say I'm engaged in, and whatever you do, you are engaged in following your purpose. You might be slightly off, but you are engaged. What do you guys feel about the use of the word engaged as opposed to I'm busy with?
I love that. I love that word, engaged. I just have one other little thing I'd like to throw into the pot.
Sure.
We talk about purpose. I also talk about passion. And I spend more time talking about pursuing my passion than pursuing my purpose. And my life is about living with passion.
Very good. It actually is more, you know, passion also ignites a feeling of, I love what I'm doing. I really love what I'm doing. And so should purpose, but I think passion comes across stronger. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Any
Well,
other
you take
thoughts on engagement?
somebody who plays golf or something like that, and when they're out on the golf course, it's a case of they say that the worst day on the golf course is better than the best day in the office, and you don't have people complaining, and it's that sort of thing. And I don't hear golfers say they're too busy playing golf. And so I'm taking that being too busy in that it's being engaged in golf, and I use golf specifically. Yes.
Yeah. Or whatever other sport, or activity,
Yes.
in fact. Yeah. No, well said. Well said. Okay. So I've just written down here, and Heather mentioned it earlier. As Glenn was speaking around busyness and blame, he mentioned procrastination, and I just made a comment. Business is the first cousin of procrastination. Busyness is the first cousin of procrastination. You know, those two are very closely linked. Often we say we are busy purely just to procrastinate, something that we should be doing in any case. Okay, let's go to the B, under the circumstances and usurping, right? We have this unlimited potential, as Glenn has said. But busyness usurps that from us. It detracts from it, right? And if we use the analogy of the journey, I guess you're driving along, Heather, from wherever you are to London. I know you take the tube, but let's say you're driving in the UK countryside, and your aim is to get to this lovely little hamlet, right? And suddenly you're distracted by a phone call which says you must take a detour for whatever reason to visit a cousin or whatever, right? That is an example of your focus being usurped, right? By busyness, because suddenly you're now made to do something outside of what you planned to do. Any ideas on busyness stealing? In fact, if you look at it, it actually ends up stealing our joy, right? Stealing our passion, or making our passion, dulling our passion. Any comments on usurping? Romeo, you wanna add something to that?
No, you are absolutely right. That is why I was quiet. Because yeah, once again, I want to move on from a perspective of humbly and sincerely acknowledge that you are talking about me.
And many, yeah, we all put up our hands there, Romeo. Yeah,
You know,
me too.
Because Glenn is a witness of this. There have been many times when I said yes, we are going to do this. You know, I was on fire, but it didn't happen like that finally. You know, and today. This is why I'm quiet. This is why I want to learn from people like Peter, and Heather and Terence, because yes, I want to go back to the core of Map for Life and make sure that I use it 120%. You know, because
Okay.
At the beginning, when you read Map for Life, when you use Map for Life, you are very excited because your brain is suddenly coming across something incredible. You know,
Right.
Sometimes in the process, the map is very clear, but your distractions get you lost.
Yep.
And it takes sessions like this for you to come back. When I listen to what Peter said, yeah, he's right. There's a decision, because it always comes back that at the end of the day, when you're not satisfied with what you plan to do, you are worried, you are guilty, you don't have joy. You see, so the consequences of not keeping your promise is really heavy on your shoulders than the joy of and the reward of if you did it. So as from now, I think that I have achieved a lot with Map for Life, but I think that if I could do more in terms of, you know, coming back on track as quick as I can, I could have done better in my life. And this is a decision that I am taking today again.
Excellent. Thanks, Romeo. Yeah, I think what you've mentioned is important. It's a process, right? It's a process that you build on day.
Yeah.
And what you also raised is the importance of accountability partners.
Yes.
Is in forums such as this, we actually hold each other accountable as well, and we learn from each other. We inspire each other, and we build each other up. Yeah. Right. Thank you very much for that.
Thank
Right.
you.
The other one, has anybody? Well, let me move on to the S of busy, which is success versus significance.
Terence, can I just
Sure.
come in with something that Glenn and I were talking about this morning?
Sure,
And
Peter, please.
I said one of my second quote of the day, and we've touched it as we've spoken around, was clarity, discipline, and accountability. And so we need to have that clarity, and I think that our map helps us on that clarity. setting out the plan, we need the discipline to stick to it. And then we need this accountability that we're talking about. And those are three key elements of the whole program.
100%. Thank you for that, Peter. Absolutely right. If we don't have clarity, it's like any journey we're going on.
Yeah.
If we're not sure that we're heading for London or we're going up to Scotland or somewhere, we're going to end up probably in, I don't know, Norway or somewhere across the ocean. And in discipline and accountability. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. So in the Map for Life methodology, we talk a lot about success versus significance, and Glenn has a talk as well around the two worlds, the kingdom world and the world, right? So success. Let's talk about success. I mean, how would you describe significance, Heather?
Well, success is different to different people. Even if you're looking at one criteria, let's say cooking. If I'm an excellent cook and I whip up a cordon bleu meal, to me, that would be success. If you're somebody who doesn't cook and you manage to get that egg fried perfectly without breaking the yolk, that is success. So whilst it's the same thing, success is at different levels to different people.
Right.
But with significance for me is that anything that you do to help somebody else is significant.
Right.
And it's just measured on the same level. So, success, you can get success daily in little things, but to be significant, you've got to go out there and shine in your service to others.
Very good. Very good. I love that. So shining in your service to others. There's a good 3 S's there. Shining in your service to others. Love it. Whereas procrastination and significance, right, is more individual and it's aligned to purpose, right? As well as it's always outward looking, whereas success, as you say, rightly say, Heather, is inward looking. Okay, I love the saying of we were born as unique people, right? We shouldn't end our lives as copies of somebody else. And Glenn emphasized that in his talk, that we need to be unique. I mean, we have all that we need to achieve our purposes. So let's stick to that. Then the last one, the why. And there really what Glenn was saying is, what are we saying yes to? Okay, and I guess if we think back to our own lives, there's a lot that we've said yes to that we shouldn't have, or we know now in retrospect that we shouldn't have. Maybe let's just have some discussion around, what are the typical things people say yes to, and why do they say yes to? More important, why do they say yes to? Again, it leads to the distractions around distractions towards our purpose or from our purpose. Okay, so the question is really, why is it that people say yes to stuff that it doesn't align to their purpose?
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, people say yes to instant gratification. They say yes to easy. I come from a country where soccer is a religion, and you will see people leave aside what is urgent and important, what can change their destiny, just to watch the game of Manchester against Madrid.
Liverpool.
Yep. Happens
So
here too.
yes, they feel something immediate. They enjoy something now, and they don't like the pain of waiting for the reward someday else, someday on the line. They want it now. I think, and our modern life is placing in front of our eyes a lot of reasons to have it now.
But no, absolutely. Yeah, no, very good, Romeo. Very good. That instant gratification, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a book. I forget who the author is. It's The Road Less Traveled.
Yeah.
And you know, that's all about sacrificing now for something better and more aligned to purpose in the future. Right. Any other thoughts on self gratification, or why we are more inclined to say yes to stuff that distracts us?
I think people like to say
Yeah.
yes to what they know.
The familiar.
Yeah, to what you're familiar with. When you're following your passion and you know what your passion is, and I'm very guilty of this, I will say yes to working a full-time job because I know how to do it. I know how much I'm going to get paid for doing it, and I'm very good at it, even though I don't love it. So you say yes to what you know. If we would only just, have a little bit more faith and say yes to believing in ourselves, yes to believing in the uniqueness we've got, yes to believing in the gifts God has given us, then we will only soar.
Very good.
I want
Peter, you wanna
to come back to the clarity issue, and again, just quoting from this week's gem, and I think in this week's gem it talks about Zig Ziglar says
Correct.
that we need to say no to a lot of good things so that we can say yes to great things. And it's a question of that clarity.
Very good.
But all too often we get caught up in a little bit of people pleasing. We want to please people, so we say yes.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it's wrong, but we need to be clear on our own goals. And
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
that Zig Ziglar quote, I think, is quite important.
And it's absolutely essential, as you said, Peter, to have a map then, because you can reference what are the things you say no to and what are the things you say yes to. Without a map, it's probably easier just to say yes to whatever comes your way, because there is no reference point for making that decision of saying yes or no. So that's where Map for Life is absolutely key. Okay, we're running out of time. So any closing comments from our esteemed panel? Heather, I'm going to start with you. Any closing remarks?
You're not too busy. Just do it.
Just do it. Very good. Romeo?
Yeah, you're not too busy. Be engaged, because I think the
engaged.
words change the mindset. And engagement is really engagement. It's more engaging.
Sure, absolutely. Very nice. Very good. Thanks, Romeo. Peter?
Well, I'm just going to go along with Heather, and I'm disappointed, Terence, that you're not wearing your Nike shirt, and let's just do it.
Yeah, I think Glenn would prefer me to wear a Map for Life t-shirt, so maybe I can alternate every week. Yeah, absolutely. Let's just do it. So I want to end with a quote, actually, that I read today, in fact. And it's a quote by the late John Lennon. And he says, "Life is what happens when you're too busy making other plans." I leave that with you for some thought. We can't have life happening to us.
Please, can you repeat that, please?
It says, "Life is what happens when you are too busy making other plans."
Wow.
That's a quote by John Lennon, and I think the emphasis there is on life just happens, and we do have control over our lives. We have the tools, we have the methodology, we have MAP. We have so much. We have the Word, we have the Bible to guide us in terms of what we do. Panel, thank you so much for your input. It was really great being part of this panel. Always learn something. Romeo, it was great meeting you for the first time.
Thank you.
And we certainly hope it's not the last.
No,
Peter, thank you. Heather, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm going to hand back to Amelia to close it off. Thanks, Amelia. Bye. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye-bye to you.